I'm John Fowkes. Let's grow someplace. Okay, so today we're going to start up we're going to set up a raised bed garden from start to finish. Your raised bed could be built out of anything. This particular one's built out of metal, out of old corrugated sheet metal roofing that I picked up used. But you could build it out of brand new wood. I've got some beds like that, and I've got some beds built out of cinder blocks, and I've got some beds built out of old wood that was given to me. It doesn't really matter what you build the bed out of. You can think a little bit about the chemicals that might be in the wood or whatever that you're using, because that could leach off into the dirt and into the plants, and then later on maybe get into you. So ideally you have it be the least treated stuff you can use, and in my opinion, keep it inexpensive, unless you're trying to make it look really, really good because it's like your front yard and you're in a big neighborhood that can see it. I understand. Today we're just going to do the metal one, and let's just speed through this, and we'll stop at different spots to discuss exactly what we're doing. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is clear this whole bed out. So okay, so I'm pulling these guys right here. Although I probably could get away with just throwing the cardboard over the top of them, but they're easy enough to pull from where I'm at. If I was doing this on a lawn or on a grassy area, I would probably just mow it before I built the bed over the top of it, and then I would just drop the entire structure down over the top of that, and then I would drop cardboard inside of it. So we're going to get to the cardboard in just a minute. Once I get the rest of these couple weeds out of here, just so the big stuff's out, then we're going to take the cardboard, make sure it's not waxed, make sure that it's not got any tape on it, so pull all the tape off, and then you lay it in. So you'll see how we're doing that in just a second. And onward. Okay, so on the cardboard, I'm flattening it out, laying it inside the garden bed. I may have a few boulders or something. It doesn't matter, inside, outside. I've got enough depth here to where this is not going to bother the plant any. And so I've got a few rocks in here. Not a big deal to me. If you want it to be solid soil, that's fine. Okay, so I've got some paper stickers here that I can't get off of here, but that's okay. I'm just going to leave them. They'll come out of the garden later on. My main thing though is getting this plastic tape out of here. I just don't like it. I don't like finding it later. Okay, quick note. If you come across staples and you like to dig in the dirt with your hands like I do, make sure you don't leave the staples in the garden. You'll end up with a rusty staple in your finger. No, it hasn't happened to me yet, but it would be the kind of thing that would happen to me, so I'm getting rid of them. Okay, so we probably have enough cardboard in here to do this project, but we've got a whole bunch of extra cardboard, so we're just going to go ahead and lay it in there because I've got nowhere else to use it right now, and I want it out of the yard. Okay, so Wally and I were just discussing it, but we could have probably just done this one box that we just put in here, this last box, and that would probably have been enough for this entire garden. But because I had all that extra cardboard I wanted to get rid of, instead of throwing it into a dumpster or paying to get rid of it or something, I just decided I'm going to stick it in here. Once it gets wet, it'll draw worms to it, and it'll be all eaten up and leave more worm castings for my garden. So the next thing we need to do is we need to fill this up. So the things I'm going to put in here might not look great because it's not like a bag of soil from the store or something. I've got a compost pile I'm going to put in here. I've got some old container plants that the plants died. We're just going to dump those in here. We've got some probably, if I see soil around the yard that's just in a pot that there's nothing else growing in, it's going in this right here.
You got that?
Pots full of dirt. That's a whole bunch of different pots. These are the guys that didn't make it into a garden, and then they kind of dried up over the summertime because I stopped taking care of them. They're just going to go right in here too. So let's speed it up. Okay, so we're filling up from a compost pile over here, so I'm going to take you over there to check that out. Okay, so right here we've got a lot of white in the dirt. That's just mycelium, and that's fine to have in my garden. I've done it before, and I loved the outcome of it. It breaks down wood chips and stuff real well. Okay, so I've got all the junk dirt I've got all over the yard in here. So now I'm going to throw on top of it. I'm going to put some good compost. I've got piles of compost all over the place with mycelium and stuff in it. And yeah, so let's speed it up again. A year ago, this was all grass, basically. Grass and sticks.
Like, oi, wait.
I try to keep them out of here. They really like greens, though. Okay, so this here's a little bit finer compost from a couple years ago. Actually, I was using it for planting smaller plants in, but I've gone a lot more to using store-bought stuff. So I'm just going to use this in here because it keeps getting a layer of water and weeds growing in it. And instead of having weeds growing in it, I'd rather it all be going to the plants that I want to eat. Let's take a shot at dumping this. I don't know if we're going to be able to move it. Okay, so if I was doing this smart, I would have probably waited until I really filled this up before I brought that over, because this really looks good for a top layer. But we're just going to keep filling it up because there's not enough in it yet. Recap. Okay, so Wally and I have cleaned out this old bed, but you could have built one. You could have built a bed that would work, right? Build a bed, line it with some cardboard. If there's weeds or something under it, you don't need to pull them. You just mow it down, drop the cardboard in, drop 2 or 3 layers of cardboard in, you'll be set. The weeds won't be able to go through it. You could wet down that cardboard ahead of time. Typically I would, but I know that when I water this, it's going to be really wet and watered to dampen up that cardboard good enough to make it permeable by the worms. Fill it up with some good compost, some good soil for whatever you plan on growing. I plan on growing greens in this, and because I'm going to grow greens in it, old compost works great for that. Hopefully I'm not using potato dirt because I'm using a whole bunch of containers that at one time grew potatoes. So if potatoes grow in it, I'll just have to keep pulling those because they'll grow anywhere. Alright, that's it for now. Grow someplace.